Okay, so what I would like you to do first is go ahead and write this down. So you're going to write this equation up at the top first, and then this one right below it. Okay, so write everything. Make sure you leave room because I have other stuff that I would like you to write down below. And I'll talk about what it means in a moment. Okay, so this top one, we're familiar with y equals mx plus b, right? We're familiar with this here. We've seen this before. Yes? The one underneath is the new one. Okay, this is something different we have not seen before. So what is the difference between those two? Yes.
Same x, by the f, that wasn't there with top equation.
Yeah, and so instead of y now, we have this f parentheses x. Okay, we don't say it as f parentheses x. This is how we say it right here. So this is how you would say f parentheses x is really f of x. So that's how you would say it. So this would say f of x equals 4x plus 3. So that's how we say it. And we call this, instead of using the y, and we use this f of x, we call this function notation. So, just a different way of writing it. It all means the same thing, different way of writing it. Let's think back when we were learning multiplication. When we first learned multiplication, what symbol did we use? An X, right? For multiplication. And then, I don't know what grade it would be in, then you learned that you could use a dot. Right? But they meant the same thing. That's what we're doing here. Instead of a y, we could use this function notation. But there's nothing different between the two. Okay? But this is how we'll start to see our functions. It'll make more sense here in a second how we're going to use them. Okay. Questions so far? No? Okay. Next thing I want you to do is write underneath that one, you're going to write the next one. Yes, that is a heart. Try your best to just make a little heart. So looking at this one, now how has it changed?
There's a heart instead of
There's a heart instead of
an x.
the X.
Doesn't make much of a difference.
Doesn't make much of a difference. So could we say whatever's inside these parentheses here is what gets replaced, the variable gets replaced by? So here we use x, so that's what's going to be for the variable spot. Here we used heart, so now we're going to use heart for the variable. Okay, let's look at another one. Oh, I'm on the writing tool. Okay. Oh no, I don't think I can erase it yet. Okay. I'll move it down. Okay, there. Another one. Another one. So now we have f of smiley face equals 4 smiley face plus 3. Again, whatever we put in here is what we replace our variable with. Do we see that? You don't have to write this next one. I'm just giving another example, okay? Just to kind of help you see. Again, now we have f of star equals 4 star plus 3. We're not going to start calculating hearts and smiley faces and stars. This is just to kind of help you guys to see that whatever's inside our parentheses, this is our input, okay? So our input here is x. So everything is in terms of x. So that's why we have the x. Here, our input is heart. So then all our variables are going to turn into hearts. But like I said, we're not going to be using symbols and emojis. We are going to be using numbers. So let me show you what our examples are going to start looking like. So if you go down below. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's not always going to be f of x. They could have different letters, okay? But that's the most common one. So as you'll see in this first example, there is no f and there is no x. But it looks very similar, right? So now we have h of t equals 4t plus 3. And it's telling you find h of 2. So what we need to do is right under h of t, now what do they want you to use? H of 2. So right under h of t, we're going to write h of 2 equals. Now we're going to have 4. Are we going to write t in there?
No, we're gonna write 2.
We're going to write 2, right? Because that tells us that we need to replace everything with 2. Every variable is going to have a 2 now. So instead of t, it's going to be 2. And don't forget the plus 3 part. Questions so far? It's just a new way of writing things. Your input is 2, so here it is. So we're gonna input 2 into the function. Okay. So next part, you're just gonna copy down the h of 2 equals, and this is the part that we have to figure what our output is. We got to figure out what our output is. We got to figure out our output. So what's 4 times 2? 8. And remember, we still have the plus 3. So now it's going to be h of 2 equals, what's 8 plus 3? 11. This is your final answer. When we input 2, what's our output? 11. That's why they like this notation, because in the answer you can see what the input is and you can see what the output is. So when you input 2 into this function, what do you get out? 11. Make sense? Okay. Let's try another one. So instead of using g of n here, what do they want you to use? G of what? -7. Good. Equals. And you show me that you know what to do for the next part here. Write out the next part. And if you can continue to work, if you think you got it all, continue to work it out. Okay, good. Good. We're no longer using ends, we're using. And you're gonna put in the -7. You gotta do -7. Now we have -7. Instead of n, Okay, so instead of n now, wherever we see an n, we're going to replace it with what? -7. So the n is right next to the -4. We're going to write -7 plus 2. Okay. Now we're going to move on. We're just copying this part down. What's -4 times -7? What? No, not quite. Negative times a negative is a positive. What's 4 times 7 then?
11.
That's adding. 4 times 7. 28. Good. So positive 28 plus 2. Some of you might be able to do all of this in your head and you don't have to show the steps. That's fine too. What's 28 plus 2? 30. So when I input -7 into this, what do I get out? 30. Questions about that? I moved too quickly. So again, we're just looking at, instead of n now, here we have -7s. Once we have that, we can solve it. Go ahead and turn that in. Make sure you have a pencil